Yeah.
Welcome in Believe in Monsters podcast tonight. I do have a PSA for Bears fans. We're not getting Shanahan. So let's not even
I
bring
don't.
that up.
Anybody who's like smart knows that that's not true. Even if he was available, we wouldn't get him. Fuck, get your fucking heads out, dude. Until McCaskies are not the ownership of this team, we will not have anything nice. George has fucked up every major decision he's ever made. From firing Lovie Smith, which I wasn't against at the time. I didn't really have I thought we could have done better, obviously, with the offensive coordinators he was bringing in and shit. But George has fucked up every single decision that he's made in leadership wise. Oh, let's talk to the Giants and see what Ernie Accorsi and fucktards think we should do with our life. Dude, until then, life's gonna change. We'll never get Shanahan. We're gonna get Harbaugh.
So I heard
Johnson.
So I heard KFC Barstool go on an epic rant about how he's done with the Jets. And it was like 9 minutes long, I think. And I was just listening to it and I was like, this is awesome because we live in parallel universes to that team. He's talking about how the quarterback will never be right there, whether it's a Hall of Famer or a guy you draft because Woody Johnson's your owner, right? It's the same thing. It's unbelievable what these two franchises put their fans through. It's crazy. It never ends.
Yeah, that podcast I've sent you before, Lucas. It's three dudes. One's a Jets fan, one is a 49ers fan, and one's a Dolphins fan. And like the list they had today was like biggest disappointments in the NFL this season so far. Number 1 was the Jets, and number 5 was the Bears.
I'm surprised on number 5, man.
Well, because of expectations. I think Bears fans expected playoffs, and they're terrible. Where Jets fans expected playoffs and more, like maybe AFC Championship, and they're terrible. So I don't know. Whatever. They're funny people.
Well, hi Joe Gaither. How you doing tonight?
No, man, I'm same boat that we were in last week. Just apathetic and frustrated. I think Chris Krogman nailed it with George McCaskey, just continually making the wrong decision. They want to win, but they want to be the reason why. They can't just hire the people and rake in the money and sit in the box and be a fat cat and let the football people be the football people. Just so infuriating. And Sunday was just another example of why you should be firing Mark Trestman, Matt Nagy, Matt Eberflus. There's no reason to keep him around, and you fire Shane Waldron, and that makes you feel a little bit of good for a half a second, but he's just a scapegoat.
At least the offense looked a little better. They only scored 19 points, but Caleb Williams didn't look like a pure and utter dumpster fire, so that's good.
Definitely good. Anything positive is good.
But it's just it's so dumb because it was so basic, and they just weren't doing it this whole time.
That's what's so infuriating.
I don't think they did anything earth-shattering. You use Roschon Johnson to run between the tackles, and you gave DeAndre Swift plays to the outside. Oh my God. Mind-blowing. They're moving the chains. The guy's running the ball. He's running people over between the tackles, and then you break a long run. You're getting everyone involved.
The Bears...
mind-bending stuff. But
the Bears
I guess hats off to Thomas Brown for that.
Bears should have easily won this game. They dominated a lot of statistics. They had 23 first downs to the Packers 19. They were 9 for 16 on third down efficiency, which showed up a lot, even on like long third downs. They had 68 total plays to the Packers 43, which is crazy. The yards per play were much lower than the Packers, which that's terrible. 5.8 yards per play versus 8.5 for the Pack. 23 for 31 for Caleb, 13 for 17 for Lovsky. He threw a pick. Caleb did not. 3 sacks, and of course, 2 of them on that final drive. Got out of it, but shouldn't have even been in it. 179 rushing yards for the Bears to 106 for the Packers. They had more penalties, though, 7 for 50 and only 3 for 25 for the Packers. Time of possession dominated by the Bears, 36 minutes to 23 minutes. I mean, only the Bears lose this way. Only the Bears. Anybody else, like this game is probably, 28, 30, 28 or to 31 for the Bears to like 17 for the Packers, 16 for the Bears. Like, it's ridiculous.
What's the worst part about this? It's the same way the Bears always find a way to lose to these assholes. And the head coach is solely responsible for a lot of this nonsense that goes on, right? You talk about those average yards per play. The Bears defense just gave up 2. They just shit all over their leg when they have to make a play. Like you can't put them in a pressure situation to make a play. They just can't. They'll be.
Like, why are you running? Why are they running man on that Christian Watson 60-yarder and Jalen just falls down?
Like, you'll say they're this or they're that to, keep games close and, teams aren't scoring under 20 or aren't scoring over 21 points. But it's like when you put any amount of pressure on them, the other team just goes down and scores. And it's just a pure.
It's the playing not to lose.
It's on the head coach. Yeah. The players. I think Bragg said this on CHGO. It is just like the players kind of leech off your mentality, and they play that way. They play scared. They play not to lose. And when you do that, you play tense, and you end up losing 99% of the time. Like, you're playing not to lose. You just give up a huge play immediately. You're playing not to lose. You don't take an extra play. Well, first, it starts on 4th and 2. You're at midfield, right? You're 100% on 4th downs, and you want to punt and pin them. All right. What else do you have to lose, Matt Eberflus? Fucking go for it. What's the worst thing? They're gonna catch a huge pass and get down the field in one play anyway. It doesn't matter if you give them the ball in the field or you give up a 70-yard pass to the 20. Like, fucking go for it, dude.
Caleb was like screaming at the sideline to go for it on one of those occasions.
Yeah, and he got it.
Can we talk about Torrey Taylor and how he's like not been great? Because that punt was terrible. And he had another one that was not great. He's been less than fun.
It's a
recently
pure just black eye on this organization that Ryan Poles has allowed this to go on for so long. He'll draft punters in the 4th round, but he won't address the line. Like, he'll do all this shit, and his hit rate on these players is so freaking bad looking back on it. It's annoying. It's horrible. Absolutely freaking horrible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you do. Like, year 1, he was dealt a shit draft, right? Because they had no first rounder. And he took some chances and tried to get some late round guys. Second draft, was this last draft his 3rd draft?
Yeah.
Second draft, he trades out.
He takes Darnell Wright.
Number 1 takes Darnell Wright, which I still don't hate.
Yeah, it's been a good pick.
Although could have had Jalen Carter.
See, that's the thing. Like, I don't hate it, but it's just pure Bears to just not take that kind of talent because
they won't. Like, that is 100% character. George McCaskey smelled any kind of character issues, and he was like, no. And the problem is that Ryan Pace talked him into Ray McDonald, and then dude fucked up as soon as he got here, and then George was like, never again.
Right. It's just dumb though. It's pure Bears. It's like, but like you said, I would even consider Darnell Wright one of his better picks. But
Right. I mean, I don't hate Dexter. I think Dexter's played well. Velas is obviously gone, and that was a terrible pick. Roshan is underutilized, probably. I don't know. I mean, stop playing with your bottle cap.
I can't. I'm upset.
You're fidgety. But no, I think there's too many other things that go into polls that, I mean, I just can't trust ownership at all when they say, it's Poles' decision and blah, 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 when he had 3 dudes to choose from, essentially, when he got the job. They essentially hired Eberflus before they hired Poles or Warren, and that is a completely ass backwards bullshit. It's probably McCaskey meeting with the coaches and being like, are you okay to just run the ball and play defense? And Eberflus was like, thumbs up, buddy. Give me a house on the lake and you got yourself a deal. Sure shit, here we are. Conservative crap.
I, for one, am not convinced that we fire Matt Eberflus unless we continue down this path.
I am.
And
If they beat Green Bay, Joe, I would have told you, yeah, I was worried. So maybe a blessing in disguise that they didn't beat Green Bay and lost in another heartbreaking fashion, because at some point there's just too much evidence not to bring him back. And if there's one thing that George wants, he wants to beat the freaking Packers, and he just lost them again at home in the worst way possible. So,
he says he does. People say a lot of shit in public.
well, I'm just saying, I think I would agree with Joe's point if they won that game. I'd be like, yeah, he has hope.
Yeah, that is probably the blessing in disguise, is that he didn't win that game and they'll continue to inspire. Like, not firing Waldron. So we'll see. Man, it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling they could beat Minnesota this weekend.
They're definitely due to win one of these games soon. They can't just keep losing like this. I think they'll win one of Minnesota or Detroit. I do think they could beat Detroit as well.
I don't think they can beat Detroit. No fucking way.
Dude, Detroit is just hard. Like, they're bad on Thanksgiving. They're just horrible on Thanksgiving.
I don't care. Number one, I think that they are just
They're a
on a
juggernaut.
mission. Yeah.
yeah, they're
And
insane.
number two, I think Ben Johnson, if all those rumors were true, wants to absolutely annihilate Bears. Yeah. So I don't think they lose on Thanksgiving. I also don't want to play on Thanksgiving, dude.
I don't mind being the 12 o'clock game.
No, because we got to go to my brother-in-law's, and dinner's gonna start probably right in the middle of the fucking game. So it's either go down there hella early, which he probably doesn't want to, have a bunch of people there while they're getting ready, or miss part of the game. So, but they're also very understanding of how football works. They would never do that if it was a Steeler game. So I'll just show up early. We'll watch it all day there.
Joe, what's your percentage that the Bears bring back Eberflus?
5%, but even 5% is too much for me.
If
Because
you're
that's
at
the-
if they think I just don't understand the not firing him in the middle of the season. I just don't understand it.
It's all about perception.
What's the perception?
They're a classy organization.
How is that classy?
Firing someone is unclassy.
They're good. I mean, if you're gonna fire him no matter what. So what does it matter when you do it? Some people would think that it's like fucked up to keep him longer and unclassy. You look like a douche noozle.
The Bears suck.
Lucas, you saw Nico's post in the chat, right, about the Giants plan?
No.
Or the Giants fan. You didn't see that? Oh my God. It's hilarious. So basically, on Giants subreddit, this fan posted that if they kill 15 of the players, the NFL has
I saw that.
Oh, I saw this, an
Like-
emergency draft.
an emergency draft, and they get the first draft pick overall next year. I'm not against murder, but if the McCaskies were to crash get in a plane crash for like all of a minute, that I don't know. It just might not be the worst thing.
Except they tell Caleb Williams to drive that day.
No, just the McCaskies in their own plane, not anybody else.
Oh, I thought you were picking 15 players. I was about to
No,
rattle.
I am applying the wow. You're killing Bears, but no, I don't want to kill Bears players. There's no need for that. Nate Davis is already off the team, and Vilas. It is horrible. It's interesting though, like that the NFL has that rule. I wonder like how old that is, or like if that like goes back to some tragedy that happened, or if somebody actually like thought that up. Like, hey, what would we do?
They probably
Yeah.
watched that movie where the soccer team crashed and they ate each
Yeah.
other.
A
They
lot.
probably saw that and said, we need a rule.
Yeah, but that was the whole last soccer team.
And they were also
It's
in,
it's also dismembered, so you don't even have to kill them. You just got to cut like arms and legs off of 15 people.
you're giving Joe ideas. Joe says
I'm-
5% is too much.
No, I mean, seriously, like I cannot get myself into a mind space where the Bears make the right decision. And even when they do make the right decision, like this past spring, we're going to draft 18 Caleb Williams and start to, save ourselves. Even when you do make the right decision, you tack on 3 or 4 bad decisions after it. And so, okay, let's say you fire Matt Eberflus. What's to say they don't hire Mike McCarthy?
Mike McCarthy still has a job.
And he's not a Trace Armstrong.
I'm speaking
representative.
hypothetically, but Mike McCarthy might be out of a job at this point. What's to say they don't hire Bill Belichick? I mean, they won't because
hates
of
Caleb.
personalities. But I'm just talking.
That honestly, him hating Belichick is not, or him hating Caleb is the last reason that.
No,
Belichick-
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that's it at all. I think it's the ownership and I think it's the dynamic between ownership and coach being power. Trying to keep that power, and Bill
I don't
Belichick
even want him here.
for that. My issue is my point is what's to say they don't just go hire another retread, another
Lincoln
John-
Riley.
the retread they should hire. They should hire this hot OC in Kansas City that's worked with Patrick Mahomes.
Matt Nagy. Yeah, they're gonna go hire Ron Rivera.
Nice.
Dude, that's probably their realist. Nah, he's too big a personality. No.
It's
Nope.
going to be a random offensive coach, most likely that they interviewed this last offseason for their OC job.
Like who that wouldn't already be in line for a
The Bucks coach, Liam Cohen, or Cliff Kingsbury. One of those random guys.
I don't think Kingsbury's random. That actually makes a ton of sense, but not now. Not with everything that transpired and not hiring him as the OC. That was just stupid. I don't, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. We cannot get it right. Cannot do anything correctly. I hate this team.
Especially with all the stuff now coming about Waldron and like how he runs his offense, which actually what the thing I read a few weeks ago is actually very accurate according to what's coming out now. But it's also like, why would you choose that type of offensive infrastructure for this quarterback? Like, I agree with putting a lot on his plate, but when have receivers that have to be that tuned into the play, like the whole offensive operation being that tuned in, you can't run that unless you have a fucking veteran quarterback and offensive players that have been in
People
the
that have been
years
together for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so you can't just show up and be like, yeah, we're gonna run this, but you're all gonna be at like, just never.
No.
It never ends.
I mean, it makes perfect sense why the miscommunications and why the offense totally went into the shitter. Like, if everybody's reading and you're never on the same page at the beginning and we're all guessing, well, then of course DJ Moore is going to be frustrated with his rookie wide receiver because of course DJ Moore thinks that he is at the right depth and running the right route for the read that he's reading. Like, take all this bullshit, take all that out of it. I know that there's got to be some level of flexibility within a play, but give the guys some structure.
Even if they just hired Thomas Brown from the jump, it would be better than this.
Yes,
we would have absolutely hated it in the moment, but like, if he's really this guy that commands a room and is going to be this structured, even if it is a stupid offense or whatever, who cares?
Why is it a stupid offense? I'm
just saying, it's like, it was very simplified this week.
So fucking what?
Fine, exactly. It's fine.
Jaden's offense is simplified.
I didn't mean that as like a shot. I'm just saying, like, you have all this random bells and whistles and all this random shit going on in Waldron and everyone else's offense. Like, even if it's just the basics, but you're playing together as a team and keeping it simple and your rookie quarterback's looking good, who cares? That's my point.
They should fire Flus and just give Thomas Brown that interim job.
I would not be opposed to that.
Can't be much worse.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I mean, figure out what this guy Thomas Brown's going to be, what he's going to give you, to what he could give you to this franchise. You know, I'm not saying he's a head coach, but hell, give him these last handful of games, these last 7-8 games, and see if he is. At this point, I've been at the point where I know that Eberflus is not it. So it's been hard for me to plug in and care because every week I'm confident that he's going to hinder the Bears. He's going to hinder the players from making good plays.
And he does.
He's going to shit the bed. Not good.
I was going to say, I guess this probably would never happen, but an ideal outcome from all this would be Thomas Brown looks decent, and whoever the next head coach is keeps him as the OC. Very unlikely. Would be cool if they were able to swing that, though. Even if it was like, say you hire Ben Johnson and he needs an OC, I'm sure he'd bring someone from Detroit. But like in that situation, if he was able to be like, hey, Thomas Brown, you're OC in title. I'm calling the plays, but this is your position. And continuity, a little bit. Wouldn't happen, but
I don't think it's a good idea anyway. We need to start over, like all the way from the top. I mean, obviously you can't start over with the McCaskies, but like Virginia cannot live much longer. Like this is getting
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. 101 years old, and you're just hanging on. What are you hanging on for?
But then doesn't George just get the team?
No.
Why? Is there like 1 million beneficiaries? Is that how that works?
It's like 45 grandchildren or some shit. Plus there's the Ryans who own like 10% or 15% or something like that.
So is the fact of this that Virginia is the majority owner?
I don't even know if they own a controlling share, but like I don't think it's like 51%. I think it's like 40 something, but I could be wrong. Uh,
Well, yeah, pretty much all hope is lost for the season. Brutal way to lose to Green Bay. Would have been cool to beat them suckers, but again, if it's what will put the nail in Eberflus's coffin, I can live with it. Just sad, and it sucks.
Well, it's frustrating. Do you want to talk about any ways to beat Minnesota or no?
Well, I will say that Caleb Williams guy looked pretty good in the fourth quarter versus Green Bay, so that was a little bit of hope there on that final drive to take him down. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the Bears handle this blitz-heavy team and how Caleb kind of handles these exotic looks he's going to get. But I do think they'll probably have another game plan to probably get the ball out of his hand quickly and kind of let his offense do some work. I mean, this is the type of week you'd expect the screen game to be heavy and actually work well. What do you think, Joe?
I just look, you do what you did last week with Thomas Brown getting the ball out. I haven't watched any of Minnesota the whole year. I mean, literally, I've only been watching Bears games, and that's kind of it. I know that they've been good. I know Sam Darnold's been lighting up my fantasy team pretty well. Isn't Justin Jefferson kind of hurt, somewhat hurt? Is he dealing with something? Did I read that this past week? No, I just might made that up. I know that Kevin O'Connell seems to be a really strong coach. Seems to be getting a lot out of them. Flores, you just said it with the blitzing. Flores, you're going to blitz their butt off. You hit the screens. I don't really love wide receiver screens really in general.
I do. Great.
That's fine. It's just not my favorite play. It never has been, not just because of the Bears, but it just never has been. But I'm just going into this week basically the same as I was this past week.
Yeah, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, right. I mean, so like,
just counting down the days till the season's over.
Do you run the football? You try to get back to basics. You try to basically what the offense needs right now is more just confidence. Get back to you got a little confidence this past week. I mean, it would have been great if you finished off your game-winning drive, but you got a little confidence this past week. But it's still, you just after the 4 or 5 week stretch of just dog shit offense, I think that's really what you want to see this week against Minnesota, win or lose, just more competent.
Move the ball a little bit.
Right.
What do you got, Chris? How much percent does Virginia McCaskey own?
So when George died, he gave
George
Halas.
Oh.
He gave 3.8% to each of his 13 grandchildren, so which equals 49.8% or some shit. So Virginia, he gave 20% to, along with the voting rights. But if she dies, she only has 20%. To continue the ownership of the Bears, 30% has to be owned by a linear family member, like one person. So they would have to restructure everything to move it all to George, essentially. Let's say George. But that's not looking good. The McCaskies say that they have a plan, but there's no actual, like, they wouldn't comment on this. They wouldn't provide comment for this article.
So if he gave them each 3%, how did she end up with 20%?
He gave the grandchildren 3.8%, which is a total of 49.8%. Then she has 20% on top of that. So now you're up to like 69.8%, and then other people own.
Wait, is she the last living grandchild? Is that why?
No, she's the daughter.
She's George Halas's daughter.
Yeah.
I guess the math adds up that she's that old.
Yeah. She was riding on the train in the 40s with him.
Are the grandkids still alive then? Or they're all dead?
Yeah, they're all juniors.
One, I think like one died.
Well, I was just asking because you said she got their 40%. So like they gave it to her?
No. She has voting rights on their 49%. So like she controls everything, but if she dies, that voting right goes away, and they get that 3.8% or whatever. And a lot of them already have pushed to sell the team.
How old are the grandkids?
I don't know, man. I'm reading about the succession plan, not the fucking birth dates of the grandkids.
Well, they might be an important factor in this, Chris. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. If it's like, if they're not unanimously like going to keep it and some of them want to sell, then it's going to be a lot of issues.
Yeah, basically, when Virginia passed away, the team intends to keep it in the family. That, however, will require some significant consolidation, which could itself become an issue that impacts the organization at all levels. If nothing else, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. At the end of the day, with the way our lives go, George will get it, and nothing will change, and then we'll just...
That's kind of what I figured would happen.
Be in this hell forever.
But does he actually want it? Do you think he likes being a part of it, or do you think he's just doing it?
How should I know, man? I don't know that motherfucker.
I think he likes being a part of it. I think
he ran right by me at the we went to the Broncos training camp, Bears training camp when they were out here, 3-4 years ago. And George ran right by me. He's in good shape. I could have grabbed him, taken him out, cracked him one, and be like, "Be better, motherfucker."
Apparently, they were saying that he came out for Hester's, or they mentioned him for Hester's Hall of Fame introduction. The fans booed the shit out of him.
I would love to see a fan fest where fans actually got a chance to ask him questions. Like, dude, bro, like, go away. We don't like you.
That's what I don't understand. Like, from a money perspective, like if you're just a businessman, then don't you winning makes more money. Okay. Well, I don't know any football. Bring in a football person. All right, buddy, you're the football guy, mate. Go make me some money. Like, it just doesn't make any sense why he's so insistent on having the family just meddle, just make these decisions. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Because, like, you will literally be worshipped if you win. So, it just doesn't make any sense.
The other side of it is, like, the value of the team is insane. Like, just sell the team and go get fat and happy, dude. Like, it's worth $6.4 billion right now. Like, somebody will pay that and probably more for a charter franchise. But that's the other thing, is the NFL probably wants to keep it in the McCaskey family because of Halas and because of everything they mean to the history of the league. But the fact is, they don't want the Bears to be good. They just probably because she fucking murdered her brother or whatever.
What is the story, Joe?
Oh, it's just hearsay. It's total hearsay, but
I always forget this. You got to tell me it again.
It's Muggs Halas.
Who's Muggs Halas?
That's George's son.
George's son.
Yeah, it's Virginia's brother, and he died suddenly. I don't know. He died of some disease or whatever, and then there was some scuttlebutt about his death, and they dug him up, and his like innards had been replaced with sawdust or some shit. I don't know. That's the story.
Yeah.
So you think Virginia filled him up with dust?
I think Virginia murdered his ass. She could take the team.
There are.
Who was she married to? Was it like Michael McCaskey, or what's his name? This punk bitch's name. I saw this story the other day, and
Yeah, Mike
Mike
McCaskey.
And then George is her son.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Dan Hampton, right? All right. Legendary Bears defensive lineman. But the way Dan Hampton sees it, the franchise fortunes might have been different if former team president George Muggs Hallis hadn't died of a heart attack in 1979. My rookie year, the last game, I came down to breakfast and everybody's acting real quiet. And I said, "Who died?" And they looked at me and said, "What?" They said, "Muggsy. Muggs Hallis died upstairs the night before the game." Said Hampton. The Hall of Fame defensive lineman was a member. Hallis Sr. wanted Muggsy to run the team. And when he died, then he knew next in line was Mike McCaskey. And he went to his grave wanting to avoid it at all costs because he knew Mike McCaskey didn't have the type of intuition and mentality. Hampton continued. It's strange. The McCaskey's grandfather, I'm talking about Mike and George and the rest of them. Their grandfather invented the NFL, but they don't know much about football, Hampton said. So think about it. Your grandfather invents the Model A and becomes Ford, but you don't know anything about cars. That's the kind of disconnect. Everybody thinks it's about X's and O's. That's part of it. But a lot of it is about knowing the people, the coaches, the players. Ditka said in 85, said on a documentary, 85, the greatest football team in history. We had a lot of good players, and we had some people who didn't need to be on the team. My job was deciding which ones were which. The McCaskeys didn't know who was who yet. That's why they had to go out and hire and fire people and find Phil Emery, which was a disaster. A search firm to find him? Are you kidding me? They needed to lose whatever credibility they had. And then they go out and hire Ernie Accorsi to fire John Fox, a drinking buddy from 20 years earlier. Again, people that know will always know, and people that don't will never. This is from the State Journal Register, published January 6, 2018, Chicago Tribune. Yeah, so there is insinuation. There's some. I mean, Muggsy. I don't really think that Virginia killed her brother, but I do think that his death was suspicious. And I do think that the fate of the franchise really, really changed when he wasn't the successor, but it was daughter and daughter's husband.
Filled with sawdust.
They say, further reading about this, that filling the body with sawdust is a common practice after an autopsy.
So he got an autopsy and they filled him with dust.
Yeah, it's probably all hearsay and shenanigans, but at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that this ownership is terrible.
Yeah. Well,
maybe Paul. Is it what's the Ryan? Is it Paul Ryan that owns part of the Bears? No, Paul Ryan's the fucking Speaker of the House. What's the?
I just know him as Pat Ryan.
Yeah, Pat Ryan. Maybe he'll be able to just buy him out. He looks.
But I just don't understand the need to say it was us in charge. Like I will give the McCaskeys credit, even if it was Billy Bob running the team. If Billy Bob's the CEO or president, it doesn't matter. Like if John Doe is running the team, if George and Virginia are still the owners, and y'all just go hands off on this bad boy and they get it right, well, I will say great job, George and Virginia. but they just have this deep need to be the reason.
Now they hired Kevin Warren to do nothing.
Right. To debate about stadiums and get nothing done.
To pick out bar tops for the stadium he doesn't even have built or a location for. Building. Fucking asshole.
I love this team. Woo!
All right.
All right.
39 and a half. Bears at home. Bears 3.5-point dogs. I think it was 5.5 earlier, so moved.
So yeah, like that's like I've seen some. I obviously bet on football a lot, and I've seen a lot of takes on Bears winning this game or groups betting on the Bears. So I like it. Back-to-back divisional games. They're gonna win one sooner or later. Who the Vikings play last week?
Didn't they lose?
The Titans.
No, they didn't
No.
lose. They
No,
lost.
they lost. They won by 10, but
They
not.
lost the week earlier, though, didn't they?
They haven't been great lately. I mean, their defense is really good, but Sam Darnold has been a little up and down the past few weeks.
My biggest concern is Flores coming after Caleb like there's no tomorrow.
New man on the Minnesota. Okay,
I mean-
to that end, Chris, I totally valid concern. 1,000% valid concern. The difference between you'll see the difference between Shane Waldron and Thomas Brown right there because there will be answers. I think.
Oh, they quick passed a ton more this last game. He was getting the ball out in under 2 seconds almost every throw. So yeah, I agree.
Not only that, I think
And
Caleb is a pretty
between
smart
Caleb
guy.
and all these freaking people who are still talking about Justin Fields. He's not going to get blindsided by whoever the hell smoked him last year in Minnesota and just crushed Justin from the blind side. Caleb will set those blocks up. 39.5. Bears are at what point? 3.5?
Yeah.
Still over a field goal, huh? What's the money line? It was at like 145 last time I looked. Money line Bears.
I just had it up.
Bears.
It's plus 158.
I'm gonna take that. We're gonna
All right.
win the game.
Bold prediction, game prediction. Let's get
Bold
it.
prediction is that Matt Eberflus has IBS and takes a shit on the sideline. Takes a literal doo-doo down his leg on the sideline.
Ew.
And my game prediction, Vikings 24. Oh no, yeah, Vikings 24, Bears 13. Bears 13.
Chris.
What did you say? What did you say for score? 20-14 Vikings.
24-13.
24-13. So that puts it right at 37. No. Yeah. No, I probably agree. So bold prediction. No Darisaw. We have a sweat game that he gets 2 sacks and a forced fumble for old Montez. And then score, I'm going to say Bears win 20-17. Yeah, 2017 Bears. Gas?
That's what score I was thinking. I'm debating who I want to pick to win this. Bold prediction. DeAndre Swift will have 50 plus receiving yards. Game prediction. Game prediction. I want to say the Vikings will lose 22-17.
Bear down. Nope, not doing that.
Yeah, they don't deserve the song. And I'm not confident that they will win. I just think they're due for one. It's trending toward
Bears
them winning
still
one of these.
suck. Bears
Yeah.
still suck. All right, boys.
All right.
We'll be
Fans.
back with another edition of the Believe in Monsters podcast next week. Follow our friends Chris Krogman at Shy Bears 1985, Lucas Berry at lberry_40. I am Joe Gaither at Joe Gaither 6, and follow us at BIM_pod. We look forward to finding you on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts, talking about this miserable team as a proud part of the Believe Network.
Adios.